Hey everybody, this is Francisco with Erratic Cinematic with another video for you today. Kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that I've been kind of hashing out in my head for a little while, and that's DC versus Marvel, or Marvel versus DC, depending on which one you're a fan of or a fanboy of. And basically, I feel like DC and Marvel are just about equal as far as their cinematic universes go. One of the couple of things that I want to do is I kind of want to break down my opinions of why they're just about equal with each other and why some people may be saying that one is better than the other. So let's go ahead and let's start with DC. Now, for some people, they think that the beginning of the creation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Man of Steel. I tend to disagree. I think that Nolan's trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, is really where it all started. We got Christian Bale, who was a really good, borderline great Batman. And how can anybody forget Heath Ledger's incredible performance as the Joker? And even though some people may not agree that the final movie in the trilogy was really that great, it still helped to solidify everything that Nolan created, which eventually led to our now created DC Universe. Moving from there, I think he chose the perfect person to hand the torch off to in Zack Snyder. Many people have sat there and go, well, who exactly is Zack Snyder? What has he done? And why is he good for comic book movies? Anybody asking that question, I suggest you go and you check out the movie The Watchmen. The movie Zack Snyder did a while ago. It was a former graphic novel that he turned into the movie. And even though it didn't follow the book exactly, it was still an incredible movie, and in my opinion, a very underrated comic book movie. And a lot of people hated on Man of Steel, saying, oh, well, Superman destroyed half of Metropolis, and he ended up killing Zod, and, this is not what we expected. But they praised Man of Steel for being dark and real and gritty. And I think a lot of those concerns are going to be squashed once we see Batman versus Superman of Steel. And if any of you have seen the trailer for Batman versus Superman, you'll see that that's kind of addressed or going to be addressed in the movie when we see that one of Bruce Wayne's towers or buildings is destroyed, and he knows that it's because of something that Superman did, and he feels he needs to be held accountable. So I think we're going to continue to see that direction, that look, that feel within the DC Cinematic Universe. But I think it's only going to get better. They've done an incredible choice. They've done incredible things in casting. Many of you may remember when Ben Affleck was cast. And let's remember, Ben Affleck came from almost losing his career. Go back and, if you can, watch Geely, watch Jersey Girl. And I'm a huge fan of Kevin Smith. So Jersey Girl was a little bit hard for me to watch. But much the way Matthew McConaughey had a reconnaissance, or what they call it, Ben Affleck did the same thing. I mean, go watch him in Argo. Go watch him even go as far back as The Town. Argo, Gone Girl, 3 incredible movies that Ben Affleck starred in, and that just go to show how great of an actor he is. I mean, and let's not forget, when we first saw that screen capture of Ben Affleck in the bat suit, oh my goodness. I mean, nobody expected him to be that huge, that ripped. Even once we saw the first pictures of him, not in the bat suit, but just everyday life, he was huge. I mean, that showed his dedication to the role. I mean, and granted, some people say, well, you can be bulky and big and buff and look great, but not be a good actor. But I think Ben Affleck's one of those few that he can do both. And then let's not forget Henry Cavill. To me, Henry Cavill has embodied who Superman / Clark Kent is. It almost goes back to Christopher Reeves, the way he embodied who Superman was. And I think that there was a little bit of a nod in that in Man of Steel, if you really go back and look at it. Gal Gadot, another person who in my opinion, is a great casting choice. Now, granted, some people may say, well, they don't like the direction that they went with her backstory. I think it works, and I'm okay with it. But Gal Gadot, if you saw her in the trailer, she looks good. She looks like she's holding her own, especially against 2 titans in Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman. Now, let's not forget, we have other characters coming from the DC Cinematic Universe. We have, I believe his name is Ray Fisher, who's going to be playing Cyborg. We have Jason Momoa, who's going to be playing Aquaman. We thought we were going to have Chris Pine as Green Lantern, and although that would have been awesome, he's now playing, I think General Stewart is his name, in the Wonder Woman upcoming independent film, or standalone film, I'm sorry. And we still have Tyrese who's trying to champion the role of Jon Stewart for the down the line Green Lantern movie. And I haven't really seen too much of Ray Fisher, so I really can't go off of him. But as far as his looks alone, he does kind of fit the part for me. Now, anybody who has any concerns about Jason Momoa playing Aquaman, I think you need to rethink it. Now, I applaud Zack Snyder and DC Studios for not whitewashing the character. A lot of people know that if you read the comic books, you know that Aquaman tend to be, a white guy who's got blonde hair. I think if you go back and you talk to anybody who's ever lived in or around the Polynesian Islands, Hawaii or Guam, you ask them, to them who are true watermen, they're going to say the Polynesians. They're going to say those kind of people, and I think it's true. And Jason Momoa definitely does descend from that lineage. So not only that, but once we saw those first pictures of Aquaman, he looked incredible. And it just made me even further happier and excited for that movie to come up. Now, I personally believe that we're going to see a lot of those characters, not only in Batman and Superman, but in all the other movies, the same way or similar to what we've seen in the Marvel movies. We may not see them, but I think they're going to be referenced, or we're going to get an Easter egg. That being said, we already know we're getting Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman in the upcoming Batman vs. Superman movie. I still think we're going to get a hint out or a mention of either Cyborg and or Aquaman, and maybe even Green Lantern and the Flash if possible. So DC is well on their way. Now, granted, they don't have a lot to fall back on the way Marvel does. That doesn't mean they can't hold their own. DC doesn't have anything to lose, and I think they have nowhere to go but up. Now, let's transition over to Marvel. As many of you know, Kevin Feige just pretty much took creative control and the creative reins of Marvel's Marvel Studios. He now reports to Alan Horn over at Disney. And I think this is a great move. I think it's going to offer a lot of their current lineup of directors more creative control. I think a lot of people remember when Joss Whedon was making Age of Ultron and the dream sequence for Thor. He had a little bit of an issue trying to get what he really wanted, and there was some give and take, and we ended up getting the version that we have right now. Hopefully when the DVD Blu-ray comes out, we can get what Joss Whedon really had in mind and really saw as for the dream sequence, because that would be interesting to see. But we've seen the Marvel Cinematic Universe since Jon Favreau directed Iron Man. And you can even say, you go back, Eric Bana's The Hulk, and even Edward Norton, which I think was one of the better Incredible Hulk movies. But I think that Marvel Cinematic Universe is very, very cemented in what it is. At this point, I think they're kind of strutting their stuff a little bit, in my opinion. I think what they've done with Tony Stark and Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and even the introduction of unknowns such as the Guardians of the Galaxy, they're well on the way to beyond becoming a powerhouse in a comic book genre. They've done great casting. In fact, when you look at Robert Downey Jr., you really pretty much just see Tony Stark. When you look at Chris Evans, you see Steve Rogers, Captain America. When you look at Chris Hemsworth, you see Thor. You really can't see anybody else in those roles. And I mean, and after Eric Bana and Eric Norton's attempt at the Hulk, Bruce Banner, to see somebody like Mark Ruffalo come in, I think a lot of people like me were kind of skeptical. But after seeing what he did in the Avengers and then all the CGI work, or motion capture, I should say, he looked incredible, and he completely blew me away, especially him as Bruce Banner. Completely blew me away. Scarlett Johansson, I mean, who can forget when she was introduced to Tony Stark and his line, "I want one," and Pepper saying, "No." But it was great. She is Romanoff, and Jeremy Renner is Hawkeye. Now, I think that they did an incredible job casting Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, and that entire Dave Bautista as Drax, Bradley Cooper as the Rocket the Raccoon, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, so on and so forth. They did great. But one of the great things that Guardians of the Galaxy did is it showed that Marvel isn't afraid to try new things, to go out of their comfort zone, because they took what was relatively unknown characters to us moviegoers and introduced us to new people within the same universe that are going to be later on down the line in the next Avengers movie. They're going to be brought in to work with the Avengers against Thanos. And they're only doing more of it. I mean, we've got Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. And if any of y'all think that he may not be the right fit, and I know a lot of people saying, well, he's a safe bet. And you're right. He was kind of sort of the safe bet. But if you have any concerns about him being Doctor Strange, go back and find a way to watch the Sherlock series from BBC, and that was filmed in the UK. I think that was just a prelude to him being Doctor Strange. And if you have any concerns about him acting, remember, this guy could have won, and I think he might have gotten a nomination for an Academy Award for Imitation Game, which he played Alan Turing, who was the creator of the computer that ended up breaking the Enigma code that helped us to win World War II. So go back and check him out in that, and you'll just see how incredible of an actor he is. He really is bringing a quality presence to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not only that, Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther is a great choice. Now, a lot of people weren't too happy with him in 42, but I don't think 42 was that great a movie to begin with. A lot of people really liked him in the James Brown biopic, and I think that was probably one of his best performances. So I'm only anxious to see what he can do. Now, we've already seen set pictures of the Black Panther from Captain America Civil War. So just based on those, he looks really good. I can't wait to see what they do with him, and I can't wait to see where he goes. But not only that, we're introducing new characters in Phase 3 from Marvel. We're introducing Inhumans, Captain Marvel, and Shazam. 3 characters that I think are going to be amazing within the cinematic universe itself. So even though Marvel's kind of tipping the scales in their favor as far as what they can go back on and what they can kind of rely upon with their cinematic properties, I still think DC has a leg in the fight. I still think they're going to do well. It makes me super excited for 2016 because we get some of these amazing movies. And let's not forget, we're getting the Deadpool movie, and we're getting the Deadpool movie we all wanted. And I'll hope for it at that. Now, it does mean we're losing Ryan Reynolds as a possibility for Green Lantern, but if the Deadpool movie turns out to be as good as it looks based on the trailers, I'm okay with that. As far as Green Lantern is concerned, I know I'm jumping back over to DC. John Krasinski, anybody? Maybe? I don't know. If you don't know, if you're not quite sure, John Krasinski got a new movie coming out called 13 Hours, Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. Go check out the trailer on our Facebook page and see what we actually wrote about it on our website. So, back to this. Now, I know I kind of got off on a tangent, but let's face it. Both Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC Cinematic Universe have nowhere to go but up. Marvel has definitely cemented themselves as a powerhouse, and they're going to continue to get better and continue to take risks with some of the properties that they're bringing out. I think a lot of people are really concerned about Inhumans, but based on what we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not. I think they're going to knock it out of the park just like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. And as far as DC is concerned, you can't really fall far if you're already at the bottom. And not that they're on the bottom in a negative way, it's just they're starting from the ground up, and I think it's the best way for them to go. And they've got a solid cast of characters, a solid cast playing those characters, and we've seen how well they're going to do with Superman, Man of Steel. Batman vs Superman is only going to get better, and they're only going to continue to grow. They're going to learn off the little mistakes. They're going to do the Easter eggs. Hopefully they do some kind of nod to the next movie that's coming out. So, as far as DC versus Marvel, I think the fanboys need to calm down a little bit. We're all comic book movie genre fans, so let's enjoy it. I think 2016 is going to be an incredible year, and I hope that you get to the movies just as quickly as I can. This is Francisco with Erratic Cinematic. Have a good time.